My family drove to Yosemite, and it was a long drive for us. 3 kids, all under the age of 7, plus 2 adults, and a ton of mountains. By the time we arrived at the motel, it was late. We were all cranky, and we couldn't wait to get out. But the moment we pulled in, something set my mom's teeth on edge, and she insisted that we left and found another hotel, reservation or not. My mom has always had like this sixth sense, and her gut has actually saved us a couple of times. But my dad was tired and convinced her to ignore her gut and stay for just the night, and the next morning, we'd leave. I can remember my mom actually refusing to let go of our hands, making us stay right by her side as she kept looking around while checking in. To try and get her to relax, my dad suggested that we go to the pool, thinking it would calm her down. Well, when we got there were no towels, so my mom called the front desk. The moment the man delivering the towels arrived, my mom immediately grabbed us out of the water and rushed us back to the room. The man gave her the absolute creeps, and she says there was just this feeling of pure evil when he looked at us. That same night, my mom and dad pushed the dresser in front of the door and had us all sleep in the same bed. The next morning, we left to go to another hotel, but my mom couldn't stop talking about how evil that motel was. About 2 months later, she and my dad were up late watching the news when they heard the reporting on a man who had murdered a woman and 2 young girls in Yosemite. Just as my mom began to say, "I bet it was at that motel," she showed Carrie Stainer's face and said it occurred at the Cedar Lodge Motel. Carrie Stainer was the man who brought us our towels at the pool. We've never gone back to Yosemite, and my mom is always insistent that we listen to our gut feeling, and when every bone in your body is telling you something is wrong, listen, be safe, and get out. I worked as a night guard in a hotel. I was the only staff on site during my shifts. I live in a small town nearby Amsterdam, so there's always a few people in the hotel during the weekends and holidays. Outside of that, not so much. It's situated at a road that's deserted at night. I usually come in at 11 at night. This particular night, I came in, and 3-ish guys are hanging around the bar. Manager is getting ready to close the bar and head out. I start making my usual security round. It seems like it's going to be a slow night. When I came back, the Irish guys have headed to their room, and my manager goes home. My work also involved light cleaning and prepping some stuff for breakfast. I turn on the TV, National Geographic, and it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Love that show he did. Marathon too. So I start my business and go into the kitchen to make me a sandwich. And I hear the front desk phone ringing. I go to the front desk, and as I pick up the phone, it stops. So I go to the kitchen again. The phone rings once more. I pick it up. Silence. So I just hang up and go back into the kitchen. 3rd time's the charm, right? And there it was again. The phone ringing. I pick it up, and an icy cold female voice asks if dogs are allowed. I tell her that yes, dogs are allowed, but only on the ground floor. She hangs up the phone without saying anything. At this point, I decided to forego my sandwich and start cleaning. But 5 minutes later, I hear the loudest bang on the window. It has large windows at the front. Heartbeat is felt in my throat. Scared. The hotel is not in the best neighborhood and has been robbed 3 times before my employment. I duck behind the desk, emergency button in hand, ready to bolt into one of the empty rooms. I had a skeleton key, if need be. I stay there, motionless, for like 3 minutes before I decided to take a look. Nothing. Not even a dead bird or anything. I check if the front door is properly locked, and as I do that, I hear a sound from the kitchen or the employee room. I decide against better judgment and to go check it out. Nothing. Followed by another loud bang. I sprint to the front. The distinct sound of a door opening in the employee space. At this point, I feel frightened, like really scared. Not the same kind of nervousness when you are walking at night, but really tense and sweaty. I'm going to die fear. I'm having to juggle between just going to do my job or informing the police. I decide to make one more round to check everything out. As I step into the employee space, I hear a loud beeping noise, which I immediately recognize. The phone makes that sound after 30 seconds when you don't place the phone back when there's no call. I sort of run to the front desk and see the phone is beside the machine. Someone must have been there, I am sure. That was the last thing that happened that night, aside from a plate moving. The hotel is close to a graveyard, like 500 meters away maybe. Many crazy stuff happened there. Spirits perhaps. I'm just glad that I made it out of there. I was the front desk manager of a resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. It was high end, where NFL football teams would stay when they traveled, and all sorts of famous people rolled in and out of there. So I had my fair share of stories. But there's one room we could never rent out, even if we wanted to. Well, one floor, I should say. The resort had 2 sides, the east and the west. The east side was the part connected to the lobby. It had a bigger pool, the common room with games, and where breakfast was served. It was far more busier than the west. Each side had 4 floors, and while the 4th floor on the east side was fine, same couldn't be said for the west. The 4th floor of the west side was one big room. It had anything you could imagine in there. A grand piano, billiard table, TVs, consoles, full kitchen, a floor of rooms, you name it. That's where we would put teams or bands who came to stay. It belonged to the owner of the hotel. He made it so he could basically live there as he got older. Well, he passed away a couple years into me working there, so we decided to rent it out instead. The first couple of occupants would complain about noises and small inconveniences, but around the 6th occupant, things got really out of hand. I remember it so clearly because I was scared out of my mind and didn't know what to do. It was about 2 a.m. and I was working the front desk. I got a call from room 410, which was the 4th floor on the west side, and the caller was panicked and asked to check out immediately. I informed them that I could transfer them to another room or check them out of their stay, and they didn't even consider transferring. They just wanted out. I tried to get an explanation, but all they said was, "I will tell you more in the lobby," and hung up. I was confused and waited for them to come down. Eventually, they did. They were all out of breath and pale. They explained to me that the music just won't stop. They said the grand piano was playing all night, all on its own, that the microwave would constantly beep, and lights would flicker like strobe lights. I started to get anxious, but I helped them check out. Once that was settled, me and a few late night coworkers decided we have to go check, just to make sure. What if they were lying and just wanted a free stay for the night? We made our way up there, and it all seemed normal. I was embarrassed that I ever felt scared, and upset that I had refunded such an expensive stay. As we checked all the rooms, we heard a glass shatter. We went back to the kitchen to see an alcohol bottle had broken, and there were shards and drinks all over the floor. Next thing we knew, it was all happening again. The lights would flicker, we'd hear footsteps, doors would close, and more. We ran out of there as soon as possible. We agreed we wouldn't rent the room out again, and would only give tours if asked. When the company got bought out, I warned them about room 410 before they fired me, but all they said was, "We get it, maids don't want to clean up that floor of a room, right?" And that was the end of it. No one believes me. Only the people in that room know what happened, and everyone else calls BS, but it happened, and I have the scars to prove it.